Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. So, not too long ago, I did a video on why I love Warden, and I talked about in that video how much I loved Warden, what my history was with the character, how I grew to appreciate them, what I liked about them, all that fun stuff. And a lot of people really seemed to like it, and they told me that I should probably do this with all the characters in For Honor. Talk about why I love them, or why I hate them, or what my history was with them, and how I grew to experience the character, and what my stance is with them now. And I thought, that's a great idea. I'd love to do that. So that's what I'm going to do right here. And today, I want to talk about my second highest rep character, Nobushi. So let's talk about her. Here's how it goes down, guys. So back when I first got the game For Honor, I wasn't a Knight faction at first. I joined the Samurai faction. And there were various reasons why. The reason being, number one, I was in college at the time taking my Asian Studies minor. And so I was already very much submerged in Asian culture, history, language, all that kind of stuff. It was very much ingrained in my heart and mind at the time, so I kind of wanted to embody that. And two, I was in a relationship with a young lady from China at the time. Later, I would be in a relationship with a young girl from Japan, but at the time, there was no Wulen faction, and I didn't think there would be. So I still wanted to have some of that Asian persuasion and embody that. So that did help in that department. She actually thought that Nobushi looked really good, but that's beside the point. Anyway, beside the point. So when I got in the game and I started playing the Samurai, I really started maining Orochi a lot. But the other character that really caught my interest from the Samurai was Nobushi. I absolutely adored Nobushi. Okay, and full disclosure, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say her aesthetic wasn't what drew me to her. Okay, let's be real. For a lot of us, the first thing we noticed and liked about Nobushi was her aesthetic. Okay, of the three gender-locked characters we had in the game, Peacekeeper, Valkyrie, and Nobushi at the time, Nobushi hit a little different. I can't say with 100% certainty what it was that hit different about her. Maybe it was the, mystique allure of her mask. Maybe it was the form-fitting kimono that she wore. Maybe it was the really long-reaching naginata. I don't know exactly what it was, but Nobushi hit a little differently, and I think a lot of us can understand that. Some of you will say in the comments, nope, no way in hell, but for a lot of us, we know, okay? And some of you might say, well, what about Valkyrie and Peacekeeper? I'll do videos on them in the future, but if you want to hear my full thoughts, go check out my video, For Honor Best Girl, and you'll hear me talk in very stupid detail, and I do emphasize stupid detail about those characters. It's a dumb video, but y'all will enjoy it, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. So yes, I was very interested in Nobushi, and at first I started playing her, and keep in mind, I wasn't used to playing against people. I started playing bots mostly, and so I didn't understand how unimpressive her character was from a gameplay mechanic. She didn't have her undodgeable heavies at the time, and her moves were a little sluggish. Her lights were not that fast. They did apply bleed. She was actually one of the only three characters who could apply bleed without the need of feats. So there were problems with her kit. There were issues, but I didn't see them at the time. What I loved about her was a couple things. One, of course, aesthetic, but also design overall, like the different kinds of outfits she had. I thought that there were so many different masks and styles that she had that looked absolutely baller. And I liked her bleed mechanic. I also liked her hidden stance mechanic. There were aspects about her that stood out to me, and for a long time, I couldn't place what it was about Nobushi that drew me to her besides just the aesthetic. And then it hit me. I finally realized what it was. It's the thing that drew me to most of the Samurai at all. When I looked at the original three factions, before we had the arrival of the Wulan and all the others, I could identify the factions not just in how they looked, but in how they moved. There was a grace to Nobushi. A grace that I saw in a lot of the Samurai, with the exception of Shugoki. He's just not very graceful at all. He makes up for it in other ways, though. Okay, Shugoki, you get a lot of love from me, brother. But more to the point, when I look at the Knights, I see strength, nobility, and precision. When I look at the Vikings, I see ferocity, passion, and wild endurance. When I look at the Samurai, I see focus, grace, and elegance. Now, all of these things are great to behold. That's why I can't really pick a faction that I just think is inherently better overall. Each one has their strengths and weaknesses to them. But when I look at the Samurai, I just see this elegance, this beauty to it, this It's something that's hard to explain, but it's almost like a dance. I don't want to say it's exactly like a dance, there are differences, but the way Nobushi flowed between movements, like her sidewinder strikes, the way she could move quickly forward and reach and poke with the Naginata, but then draw back and standing on one foot to strike from a distance, and then pull back quickly. She was like a snake, which is why I think that a lot of her names are named after snake movements. She felt like a serpent, and there is something kind of beautiful about the way a serpent moves, unless you have a fear of snakes, in which case you probably don't find it very beautiful at all. It's fine, to each their own. Now, later on, I started to grow distant from Nobushi, especially when I moved over to the Knight faction and I started re-falling in love with the Knight characters. But there was something that always brought me back to Nobushi, and I think it was a couple things. First of all, again, aesthetics, duh. But two, the polearm, the Naginata. I love polearms. There's something different about a polearm, right? They cook a little different, right? I love swords, don't get me wrong. I have a collection of swords, and I think swords are baller. But polearms, I feel like, are so underrepresented and underappreciated in media overall, and the Naginata it's pretty awesome. I really like the way the Naginata looks and feels, especially when handled by our pretty Nobushi. And then later, it finally happened. For Honor released a bunch of new armor sets for all the characters, including face reveals for Peacekeeper and Nobushi. And let me be real, Nobushi just got cuter. Okay, she didn't get hotter, she got cuter. If they wanted to make her hotter, they could have lost the face paint and let her hair down, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, all right, I'll stop going on about that. But I am serious. They could lose the face paint. For Honor, if Honor does, if you're watching this, do one without the face paint. It'll look nice, I promise. And let her hair down. But I liked the look. I liked the new look. It brought me back to her very quickly. I wanted to get the armor set for her. It was very form-fitting. It looked accurate to what an Ashigaru might wear. The helmet looked good. The face was cute. There was a lot about Nobushi that made me want to come back and play her some more. It was good. It was just something that I wanted to see. But then when I was playing her again, I realized something that I've been missing as I had taken a break from the Samurai faction, and it was, again, that elegance, that grace. I didn't get it from a lot of the other characters. I didn't get it from characters that were similar, like Gladiator. You know, there was no grace in what Gladiator did. It was still precision. It still felt very knight-like. But Nobushi, to me, felt graceful, beautiful, elegant, and I think that's what I like to see. With the Varangian Guard hero coming out and everyone complaining about women on the battlefield and women in the game, I feel like with Nobushi, I wouldn't want her to be a man. Like, when we're talking about gender locking, I would not want Nobushi to be a man. I feel like she was meant to be a woman. She moves in a way that I expect a woman to move, and she's better for it. I think that this is a character, I think what it is, I don't mind playing women in video games because I find women very attractive, and I like looking at attractive women while playing a game. It's that simple. Call it basic if you want, but it's the truth. And Nobushi is gorgeous. Nobushi moves gorgeously. Her design is gorgeous. Her weapon is gorgeous. She is beautiful, which is kind of why I think I pair Warden, who I relate so much with, as I said in my previous video, with Nobushi. I like to pair those two because, hey, it's what works. It is what works. And again, you can say what you like about me for it, but I just feel like that's what really makes it work for me. It just feels right. And that's what I look for in characters. They have to feel right to me. Now, for some of you, you may not like her. I know that a lot of people have a lot of trouble with her because when she got her update so that now her heavies are now undodgeable, I know some people grew to detest her. Now that she can be paired up with Shaman to be the ultimate bleed bite team, a lot of people hate her. Her hidden stance now is very strong with a lot of options with which to fire back. I think that Nobushi is a much stronger and very annoying character to many people. I admit I like playing as her far more than I like playing against her. And it's kind of funny, I actually found that whenever I play Nobushi, I tend to have a lot of fun and I actually tend to do pretty well. Even though she is not my #1 main, I am far more successful with her. And I chalk this up to 3 reasons. Number 1, I think it was my appreciation for her kit early on and me wanting to master how she used her tips and tricks. 2, I think it has to do with just my overall love for the character and just a desire to get better with her more so than some other characters. And 3, Nobushi just likes me, man. You know, that's what it is. Nobushi's just got it for me, and she's got it bad, so she wants to make sure she plays to her peak every time I pick her up. You know, that's just how it be. I'm not going to say, I'm just going to say, you know what I'm saying? Don't blame me for that stupid line. That's something that a friend of mine from church used to say. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. So, in conclusion, I love Nobushi not only for the aesthetic, obviously, but because when I started playing her character, I noticed a grace and beauty to her that drew me into her character. And that's why it took me so long to even come up with her legend, I feel like, because she just became a character that didn't have a story to tell, but just a feeling to give. And there are some characters that you don't need to know their story. You just need to appreciate who they are and what they are, and that's very much what Nobushi was to me. Of course, that makes sense to my ears. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you, and if this whole video didn't make sense to you, you just felt like it was me whinging, that's fair. I'm glad that you stuck around to listen this long anyway. And to all of you still here, thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know which character you'd like me to talk about next. And as always, guys, I will see you in my next video. Take care.